Hello kings and queens, welcome back to my channel. You are back with your girl Queen SP for another video. I know you miss me. I'm back, don't cry, I'm back. But anyways, today's video will be about why I stopped eating meat as well as other animal byproducts. I stopped eating meat due to the harmful effects that it causes on the human body, as well as just this overall lack of nutritional value that we really need for our diet. I believe we truly been miseducated and misinformed of its necessity in the human diet. So I'm here to re-educate and re-inform of the truth. So if you're interested in that, keep on watching. Let's go. Today's video will be regarding why I stopped eating meat and other animal byproducts. And by that I mean anything that comes from an animal, essentially. So that's going to include eggs, milk, cheese, animal byproducts. Now, as I stated, we've been really misinformed and miseducated on the necessity of meat in our diet, as well as other animal byproducts in our diet. We're often told that we need meat for protein, we need milk for calcium, and all of these things. These are all false. Yes, I said false. So I want to start this conversation off by first, let's just talk about what is the purpose of food. Food is truly intended to be essentially a fuel or an energy source for our body. And that's it. Our body is not just here, it's doing functions and a lot of processes while we're doing our everyday activities. In order for those processes to work properly, the body has to be fueled properly. And it's as simple as that. And we're not fueling properly. In reality, we are really only supposed to be intaking foods that are going to facilitate our body in those processes, not harm it or stop it from completing those processes. An analogy that I often say when I'm talking to friends or family or people I know is that look at your body as a luxury vehicle, okay? So let's say it's a nice Audi or something like that, okay? When you have a luxury vehicle, there is a certain level of gas that you have to put in it, usually premium, and a certain type of oil. They're going to look for synthetic or a synthetic blend. These cost more. They're always going to cost you more, but you're doing what the body needs, meaning your vehicle needs. So in the long run, if you're one of those people that's like, I know I need premium gas, I'm just going to get mid, or I know I need the synthetic oil, but I'll do a blend, or whatever the case. Your vehicle will still run, but it will not run at peak performance. And eventually, those extra deposits that are in the cheaper gas or in the cheaper oil are going to catch up to your engine. And there's going to be some sort of lockup or a malfunction. And like I said, this is an analogy to your body. We are putting in the wrong foods. And yes, you're still able to move around and function as a human being, but eventually it will catch up with you. Once you're diagnosed with hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, any of these things, that's essentially your engine locking up or these things catching up with you. So again, let's be more mindful of what we're putting in our body, and the goal is fuel and energy, not to defuel and de-energize yourself. So let's move forward. So now let's get into how meat and other animal byproducts are harmful to the human body. And when I say harmful, I mean toxic, I mean not good for you, I mean shortening your life expectancy, bringing you closer to an early grave, just to be candid. Number one, meat increases your chance of cancer risk. Yes, I said cancer. Meat in itself is a carcinogen, which just simply means a cancer-causing agent. Meat really has no nutritional value. It's devoid of fiber. It's devoid of the necessary nutrients that your body needs to carry out its functions. It's devoid of any nutrients that can help protect your body from cancer, such as antioxidants. These are found in fruits and vegetables. That is why it is important to incorporate fruits and vegetables in your diet. They carry the necessary nutrients. They carry the necessary antioxidants to fuel your body efficiently in the right way. People who do not eat meat, vegetarians and vegans alike, are 40% less likely to get cancer. 40% less likely to get cancer. So that's one good reason to stop eating meat. Number 2, eating meat and other animal byproducts increases your risk of heart disease. So heart disease is going to include any disease that affects your cardiovascular system. So that includes your veins, your arteries, your heart. I guess you can say your blood as well. Things that are required for your heart to function. Oxygen levels. So I'm talking high blood pressure, hypertension, high cholesterol. These are things that will affect your heart. It's important to know that heart disease is the leading, that means number 1, cause of death in the United States. And I know they often say in the African American community, also amongst women, but it's pretty much everyone once you narrow it down. It's not just black people, it's not just women, though it does affect black people disproportionately because of the way we eat. Meat and animal byproducts contain saturated fats as well as cholesterol and other things like that if left unchecked or in an abundance in your body will lead to clogged arteries, heart attack, stroke. All of these things are cardiovascular things. The issue is that your body cannot process that excess level of fat. Honestly, it cannot, and it's unnecessary in your body. So anyone who's on that keto diet, I'm sorry, it makes no sense to put an abundance of animal fat in your body and really think that that's something that you can do long term. Now, anyone who's on that keto diet and you're just doing it for a quick fix, I still don't agree with that, but it's not something long term that you should be doing. Just a heads up. That's just my own sidebar. Number 3, meat and animal byproducts increases the risk of an unhealthy body weight. Yes, there is a such thing as a healthy body weight. Now, for everyone, of course, that's going to be different. We all have different body types. We all have different family histories and different body shapes and styles. So I'm not saying you're supposed to shape or look a certain way, but you need to figure out what's the healthy weight for your height, your body, and all of that. Your goal should always be to be the best version of yourself, not anyone else, or to look like anyone else. That's not what I'm getting at. What I mean is being the healthiest weight for your body. People with a healthier body weight are less likely to get cancer, have heart disease, diabetes, and things of that nature. Having a healthy body weight also assists with blood circulation, making sure your fluid levels are correct. You'll have more energy and a higher metabolism because your body is able to break down what it brings in. Now for men, an unhealthy body weight can lead to erectile dysfunction. Erectile dysfunction is always a byproduct of low blood circulation. Okay? So if you are having ED issues, you need to make sure you change your diet, because eventually that's going to lead to heart disease, because obviously the blood's not flowing to a certain area properly. Eventually it will not flow to your heart properly either. Number 4, meat carries unnecessary hormones. Unnecessary hormones. Now, in one of my previous videos, I have mentioned your endocrine system, which is the system in your body that creates and transfers your hormones around. The endocrine's function is to send messages to other places in your body to help complete processes. That is the purpose of a hormone. For example, one hormone we discussed in my previous video was melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that tells your body to go to sleep. You can see how that's problematic, that if they're adding hormones to meat and you're ingesting them, how that can have an effect on your own endocrine system and the messages that your body is sending to itself. Most meat that you purchase at the grocery store has added hormones. And typically they are adding hormones so that animal grows bigger and so it grows faster, because time is money. So these animals are growing at an alarming rate because of the hormones, and we are ingesting them. There is an option of purchasing hormone-free meat, which, that can be found in the stores. So if you have that option, I definitely recommend that. But besides the additional hormones that are added, when you're ingesting flesh, their bodies do similar processes as ours. So depending on what type of animal you're ingesting, you'll still be eating or taking on their hormones, their natural hormones, such as testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, for example. If you're eating the meat from a pregnant animal, it will contain progesterone, which is a pregnancy hormone that occurs in human beings as well. I would not need that in my body as a woman at a time where I'm not pregnant. So you can see how that is problematic, and it's sending a message to my body that I'm pregnant and I'm not. So that could definitely cause some menstrual cycle issues for women. This is just another reason to stop eating meat, because you don't want harmful hormones or chemicals added into your body that are never meant to be there. Number 5, meat increases acid in your diet. Now, if anyone is familiar with Dr. Sebi, he's a holistic doctor that does not practice Western medicine. But it was his theory that all disease in our body occurs because it is overly acidic. This is where mucus can grow. This is where disease grows, is in an acid-based body. There is a pH scale, which I believe I mentioned in one of my previous videos as well, and acidic being on this side, neutral being in the middle, and alkaline or base being on this side. A lot of people who are meat eaters, of course, their body is more on a lower pH because it's in an acidic level. Okay? So your goal is always to move your body, past neutrality, but also into the alkaline region. That, of course, is the goal, because once your body is alkaline, no disease can thrive there. None. It would be impossible for it to live. So your goal is to get to an alkaline state in your body. You cannot do that if you're eating meat. Overly acidic body equals a weakened immune system, which of course equals disease. Number 6, meat is harmful for you because the animals are treated very inhumanely, fed poor diets, and stacked on top of each other in the slaughterhouse. It's not good conditions. And this is what the meat that you're eating is subject to. One of the things that are fed to these animals is antibiotics. They are given antibiotics because the living conditions are so horrendous and nasty and just trifling that they have to give the animals antibiotics to make sure the infections and disease do not spread, because they're living in close quarters and they're pretty much, pooping and peeing and doing whatever in the same conditions that they're living. And this is what we're being fed. Antibiotics are not good to just be pumped into meat that is supposed to be ingested by humans. Long-term ingestion of antibiotics that are not necessary will cause you to be immune to antibiotics. And all that will do is that when it's really time for you to need an antibiotic, it will not work on you because you've ingested them so long that your body has created an immunity to it. This creates sometimes super bugs that they call, that a lot of these animals carry, that are impossible to be killed with antibiotics. So this is the meat that we're eating. Now, as far as alternatives to that, You can get free range chicken or free range meat, which means that they do not hold them in a facility and keep them trapped or in small quarters. It means that they give them the ability to roam free. You can also get meat that does not contain antibiotics and added hormones. But again, like I said previously, they still have their own natural hormones and things like that that are not meant to be in our bodies. I think it's important to note in this particular, on number 6, that this is why certain cultures, such as in the Jewish culture or in the Islamic culture, that they only prepare their meat as kosher or halal. They ensure that they prepare and kill and treat the animal a certain way according to their religious practices. And this does make a difference. Kosher or halal meats are prayed over. They're killed a different kind of way than your typical slaughterhouse, and it's prepared a different kind of way. And with that, it has a different type of energy. Spiritually, this makes sense, and it explains why it's a cultural or a religious practice. So when you look at it like this, so in your typical butcher or slaughterhouse, they're really just taking a shotgun and shooting the cow or the pig or whatever it may be right here in between their eyes or in the forehead. And you know, the animals know what's going on. Like they're animals, but they're aware. Think about if you had a shotgun staring you right in your face. How would you feel? Even if it's for a split second, your body still causes a reaction. And it's the same with animals. Anytime you're in a stressful situation, your body wants to fight or flight. And we all know this from science class. You're going to release adrenaline if it's time to run, as well as cortisol if you feel stressed. These are the things that the animal releases in their bloodstream that enter the meat. In addition to that, the animal is in fear prior to its death. So energetically, that fear is also in their flesh, in their being. So when that animal is killed and chopped up, you can look at it like fear is still within that meat. And when you buy it from the grocery store and ingest it, you don't even know that you're ingesting the energy of fear. So you're taking on the fear of that animal energetically. And that may manifest in your own life in other ways, where you may feel scared of something or fearful of things and you have no idea why, because you've been eating fear energetically from your food. Halal or kosher butchers do not kill their animals like that. They do not come from the front and shoot them in the face. They do it from the back, as well as they've already said a prayer and given thanks for this animal to provide sustenance to them. They make sure that the animal is in peace before it's killed. So energetically, you can see how that's different, that meat is being taken into your body. If you've heard that phrase, you are what you eat. If you're eating a scared animal that was murdered, you know, you'll feel that energy in your body. Whereas if you're eating a peaceful animal that was sacrificed in the name of God to provide sustenance, there's a big difference there. So I say that to say, this is another reason just to generally stop eating meat. But if you're not able to do so, try to look into getting kosher or halal meats. You can find Jewish delis and Muslim delis all around different cities. So look into that. Let's segue into some of the positive changes and differences that I see in my body since I've stopped eating meat for a couple months. Now, full disclosure, I do still eat fish, so I do consider myself a pescatarian, but I have stopped eating dairy as well as meat such as beef, pork, chicken, and turkey. Number 1, I see a big difference and an increase in my energy. I have so much energy in a day that I never get tired, I never need a nap, and I never feel sluggish. And I feel that has to do with me no longer eating meat or animal byproduct. In the Black community, we have something called the Itis that you get after you eat a big meal. We've always felt that it was normal to just feel so tired after you eat a meal. In reality, if we go by the theory that I said in the beginning of the video, that food is meant to be fuel to your body, when you gas something up, it shouldn't slow down, it should speed up and pep up. So just the fact that we have something called the itis should really show us that we're eating incorrectly. The fact that we get sleepy, sluggish, and tired after a meal should show you that that meal had nothing in it that fed your body what it needed. Number 2, I see an increase in my muscle mass in my body. I have more definition, utilizing less reps and less weight. Now, since of course we've been 2020, we've had quarantine and all sort of things. So the gym shut down at one point in time, and I was just using resistance bands to work out, and I still had muscles. I still have everything, and I feel that that's attributed to my diet. One way we've been miseducated is to think that you're getting protein from meat, which you do get protein from meat, but it is not the root of the protein. All of those animals that we think we're getting protein from eat vegetation, plants. So that is where they get their protein. In turn, we're eating those animals for protein, when in reality, we can go straight to the source, which is the vegetation. All of the vegetables and things of that nature have way more protein in it than we thought, and actually than most meats. And then, for example, a cow is high in protein because it eats vegetation all day. Some of the strongest and biggest animals in the animal kingdom do not eat meat. They eat vegetation. So we can say a horse, an elephant, a giraffe. Some of the biggest and strongest animals do not eat meat. I would also say, look at your teeth. Do they look sharp? Does that mean we're supposed to be eating meat? Probably not, but I digress. Number 3, clearer skin. Now, as someone who's struggled with acne from like preteens up to adulthood, it never dawned on me that my diet was the problem, especially in childhood. A lot of sugar, Kool-Aid, milk, cereal, just crap. I don't remember ever drinking water as a child. And this isn't a shot at my mom. I didn't like it. It didn't taste good. Everything's got to taste good now. But the reality is my diet was trash, and it was coming out in my skin. So anyone who's struggling with acne, I would say definitely increase your water intake, but also look at your diet. Sugar is always going to contribute to acne, as well as dairy. So just be mindful of that. Number 4, I have less painful periods now. And again, this as someone who struggled with terrible cramps from teenage to adult years. I used to have to stay home from school at least a day or two because my cramps were like so bad that I couldn't even focus in the classroom. I would literally throw up. It would be like I was having an illness every time that I came on my cycle. So now that I've gone to a more plant-based diet, I can honestly say I don't even get cramps. I may get a little discomfort, but it's not on the level of any cramp that I've ever had. Not at all. And it's to the point where I used to need a heating pad, because I don't take ibuprofen and Midol and things like that. I don't do that. But I used to use a heating pad, or I don't do that anymore. I used to pop a lot of ibuprofens, 600s, But now that my diet has changed, I don't have any cramping. Like I said, I used to use a heating pad sometimes. Now I don't even need the heating pad because I've gotten more discipline with my diet. I don't need anything. Also, I saw a difference in the heaviness of my period, as well as the length of my period. So my period will really be super heavy pretty much the whole time, like 6 or 7 days, which was nuts. Now that I've changed my diet, It is very light, and it only lasts about 4 days tops, and that's maximum. So anyone who's struggling with really rough periods, or maybe even endometriosis, fibroids, anything that is your lady parts, I definitely encourage you to examine your diet. We have to really be aware that in our menstrual cycle, the purpose of it is to shed. So we're shedding our uterine lining that we did not need that month because we were not pregnant. In addition to that, it's getting rid of toxins. And the more toxins you have in your body, the longer it's going to take to get rid of them. The more toxins you have in your body, the more pain you're going to have. Number 6, regularity. Now, I mean regularity of my digestive system. Since a change in my diet, no meat, no dairy, no byproducts, I've definitely seen a difference in my regularity and the timing of it and the ease of it. So there's never any constipation, diarrhea, there's never any of that, because that's not normal. Also, in the timing. So if you're eating at the right times of day, if you're eating with your body's circadian rhythm, and et cetera, then there will be specific and strategic times where your body wants to waste. There is a full time clock that your body is on. Your body is essentially a machine or a robot, if you will, that we're programming. So if you're programming it correctly, it will excrete at the proper times. And I can maybe even do a separate video on just timing of your diet versus not just what you're eating, but how and what times. So number 6, a clearer mind. And I think this is the most important. When you're feeding your body, you're feeding your brain. Your brain is what controls the functions of your entire existence. And I'm talking about spiritual, physical, emotional. All of that is controlled by your brain. So if you're feeding your brain a bunch of toxins and it's not getting what it needs, you can best believe that your brain is under functioning as well. And with that, that means the rest of your body is under functioning. I can honestly say that since my diet has been cleaner, my mind feels cleaner. I do feel an increase in my mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, financial awareness. I'm just more aware in general of my own consciousness and the way I move and the things I do. I'm not just moving willy-nilly. I'm not just doing things to do them. I'm thinking, I'm being mindful, and I'm being more aware. And I do think that has a lot to do with my diet, because I'm no longer feeding my body or my mind toxins on a daily basis. So for anyone who's watching this video, I hope this information was very informative and helpful and helps you on your journey to physical, spiritual, mental wellness, mind, body, soul. But just keep in mind, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. I didn't start where I am now. I didn't start just automatically not eating meat cold turkey. This has been years coming. I first stopped eating pork, and then I moved on to beef. And just this year, I stopped eating chicken and turkey. It's only been a few months, okay? So what I'm saying is don't feel obligated and rushed, because now that you have this information, you're like, oh, I'm killing myself. I gotta hurry up and stop. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Take your time. As knowledge comes in, it can be overwhelming, with you trying to make all these adjustments. Take your time. There's no rush. Just know that it's not overnight. It took time for me to get here. It will take time to get where you're going, or whatever your health journey looks like. You have to decide for you what that looks like. For me, right now, this is it. And I just feel that when you know better, you do better. It took me a while to get here. I've been studying all this stuff for a while, and chicken was one of my favorite foods. And anyone who knows me will tell you, I will smash some chicken wings. That was the hardest thing for me to let go, but it was more of a mental letting go than physical. Yeah, I like the taste, But after mentally I let go, the taste didn't even taste the same. I tried to go back and eat some chicken and I couldn't do it. I'm looking at the veins, I'm looking at the skin. I just couldn't do it. So once your mind makes that switch, for me it was impossible to go back. It was impossible for me to not change once my mind did. So just know that when you know better, you do better, and that's fine. Take your time. It's your journey. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments. I hope this video is encouraging and it helps you to maybe develop a plan or even make some changes in your diet. You can do cage-free, you can do hormone-free meat. You can get closer and closer to being the healthier being you want to be. But really my goal here on this channel is to just bring you the truth and make sure you're aware. That is all. Because when you know better, you do better. So just know that this is coming from a place of love. This is not coming from a place of judgment. I've eaten everything you've eaten. I've done everything you've done, and I'm sure I have. So again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section. We can have a dialogue going. But until next time, peace, kings and queens. Wow.